What is happening, everybody? Off the Mic Sports Network, reacting virtually immediately after the Toronto Blue Jays send an enormous statement to idiots like me and a lot of people out in the universe. I did, kind of pose this that it might be a situation where the Blue Jays could, sneak up a little bit, and I think the layoff and Blake Snell didn't have it. He didn't get through the first. And the Blue Jays are just way better than, like, I'd say about 60% of the general viewing public knew about before this series. Like, they did this to the Yankees in the first round. So, first and foremost, let's give credit to the Toronto Blue Jays here. The Toronto Blue Jays put on a really great team oriented performance in this game where, hey, who were the guys making the biggest hits? Pinch hitter Addison Barger. That big inning was started up by, guys like Ernie Clement and, Dalton Varsho hit a 2-run home run. Vlad Guerrero Jr., you know, by his standards, Vlad Guerrero Jr. was 2 for 4 in this game. So, hey, he still hit 500, but he didn't hit it out of the park and didn't kill you that way. It was Addison Barger at 2 RBIs. Alejandro Kirk, who is a star for them, but he isn't really known for his power. He drives in 2 runs. Nate Lucas got an RBI walk. Andres Jimenez, my guy from the Guardians, he played a role. He was 1 for 4, but he also had an RBI and a run. It's just, Trey Savage didn't really have his best stuff. I mean, he gave up 2 earned runs and had 3 walks, but the Dodgers just did not take advantage of this situation, and they weren't able to see any of the Blue Jays' top relievers. And this game just got away. I mean, hey, Bo Bichette, how about Bo Bichette getting a hit on his first? It was like a 3-0 pitch, but Blake Snell, as I said before the series, the story of this and why Toronto sent a message tonight is they put on, just like I said, a tour de force type of performance where their hitters there was a 29 pitch first inning, and Trey Savage didn't have his best stuff too, but the best weapon that Toronto had in this series, they have a lineup that's really hard to get out, and they work off and they foul off a bunch of pitches and make you work to ultimately win games. And the Dodgers' strength was, hey, we've got the best starting pitchers and maybe the greatest foursome that you could assemble. And the problem was Blake Snell was not getting a lot of people out in this game. He was not getting a lot of people out in this game. It's like I said, he threw 100 pitches, but he only got through 5 innings, and he started to work the 6th inning, and he couldn't get anybody out. And then Emmett Sheehan, he has an issue with a walk. He's credited with 3 runs. Anthony Banda, he gives up 2 home runs in his run. Like, it's just, Emmett Sheehan only got 1 out with 16 pitches. Anthony Banda, and he got 12. It's like I said, if they can't get deep into games, which is going to be really hard to do, they're going to need to use their bats to ultimately, win a game. And the problem was Shohei Ohtani, he had a 2-run home run late in this game. But Freddie Freeman did nothing. Mookie Betts only had 1 hit when it really didn't matter. I think that might have been after everything. I mean, just none of their guys, none of their guys really delivered, and they left some opportunities on the base pass. Freddie Freeman with a running mistake on an RBI hit, and it ultimately led to an out in the inning being a little bit shorter. It's just a lot of things that you couldn't have go wrong for you if you're the LA Dodgers. They went wrong. They absolutely went wrong. And it makes this series much more interesting because, as I said, so here's what I'll say to Dodger fans. This is not doom and gloom. It is 1 game in a series. There is a reason why the Dodgers, in their franchise history, have only won 1 road postseason game 1. I think that was the stat that they were like 1-11. And Sandy Koufax was the only pitcher. You guys realize how long ago Sandy Koufax pitched? Like, come on. So let's chill out here. You're the Blue Jays. You sent the message. You sent the first shot, much like you did to the New York Yankees when I picked against you then. It's just, this Blue Jays team, I think you really need to take them seriously because They're well managed. They've got hitters that are just in the zone. You've got one of the most clutch World Series performers and just postseason performers at the top of your lineup. You've got one of the like one of the most unheralded, like most potently gifted lineups that we've seen in baseball. And listen, I gotta give credit to the Jays, man. Like they could have easily folded when they fell behind 2-0 and their starter wasn't getting any outs. But, like I said, the key to this game was that 29 pitch first inning because I knew that if the Dodgers didn't score runs and get some separation, this was going to get out of hand because the Dodgers bullpen is just not built to get outs, especially against good lineups. For whatever reason, it hasn't worked this year. They need their starters to go deep, and if they can't, they've got to score more runs than 4. And 2 of them were after this. This game got to be 11-2. It was a 9-run sixth inning for the Blue Jays. 9 runs in that inning, and again, Addison Barger, first ever pinch hit grand slam in the history of the World Series. Think about that. What a moment for that guy. Um, you know, Ernie Clement just making life miserable. Miles Straw was in this game. Yeah, he went 0 for 2 in this game, but Nate Lucas came in, relieved him. He got a walk. Andres Jimenez. So basically, the whole entire bottom of this order was littered with guys with Cleveland Guardians ties. So you know, it's one of those things where it's like you can take a lot from this game if you're one side. If you're the Dodgers, you got to feel overwhelmed, but you guys have been in spots where you've been blown out before. Ultimately, what this is going to come down to is what is the response like in game 2. If the Dodgers come out and win game 2, ultimately I think that this first game does not mean anything in the grand scheme of things. As far as I'm concerned, if you're a Dodgers fan, what you got to tell yourself is, listen, they did what they were supposed to do. We lost out on having home field advantage because we lost a game in August and, had a couple of bad series losses to like teams, bottom of the road teams like Baltimore and whatnot. That really ultimately cost them the best record. And in this series, at least. And ultimately, I mean, you could have also said that if they would have won that game another way, maybe it would have changed things with the Phillies, but that's irrelevant at this point. All you got to do if you're the Dodgers is if you win tomorrow, no matter if it's 11-2, 3-2, 2-1, whatever. If the Dodgers go home 1-1, they're going to feel good about themselves. They got slaughtered in this game. If you're the Blue Jays, you got to feel really good because like, hey, we put our best foot forward, but you got to keep that momentum and do similar what you did with the New York Yankees in the first round. Because hey, we understand, hey, even if you lost the first 2 at home, you went on the road and you're capable of doing that. We'll see how it happens when we go to LA. But if the Dodgers get a win, basically that's exactly what they wanted to accomplish, is going to Toronto. Yes, I understand the 2-3-2 format and the odds of them potentially winning 4 in a row are not great against this team, but we've seen crazier shit. But the Blue Jays clearly sent a message to not only the Dodgers, but the entire Major League Baseball landscape. Pay attention to us. This is a good baseball team. And I vastly have underrated them. I knew they were good, but I didn't know how good they were because, like I said, Blake Snell was mowing through people in the last couple of series. And guy got to 100 pitches, could not get out of the 6th inning, could not get out in the 6th inning. And ultimately, 9 runs were scored in that inning. And ultimately, some of them he was responsible for. He didn't get the loss, but that's where, and this is the main fault that I have with this Dodgers team is because of all the resources invested elsewhere and their bullpen just, dealt with injuries and, ineffectiveness. It's led to this bullpen not being very good outside of Roki Sasaki and Alex Vesia, who is not there, unfortunately, because of a real life situation. But at the end of the day, this is Major League Baseball. It'd be foolish to, even put it on those type of things. This is who you are. And your lineup has 3 MVPs in it. One of them really showed up in this game. Ultimately, it was, a really meaningless home run. But all that matters right now is that, hey, Blue Jays sent the message. and the Dodgers need to respond. And if the Dodgers do respond, the narrative of this series flips on its ear. That is the beauty of what baseball is. But the biggest takeaway that everybody needs to know is we need to take the Blue Jays seriously. Because if you don't at this point, I don't know what the fuck you've been watching, at least for the last few weeks, specifically in the playoffs. But even before that, this team was really good. And there's a reason why they have the better record, had the best record in the American League, and they're up 1-0 in this series. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.